Good. Sorry for the delay. We had our Sergeant at Arms, Commissioner Stroud, has gotten us in order. So welcome everyone to the. I'm Jeff Cook. I'm the chairman of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, and welcome to everyone for our second day of our May meeting. And this is the full commission meeting. And so we'll get things started off right with the invocation and the pledge. And Commissioner Box will lead us in that. Thank you, Commissioner Box. And Danette, could you please call the roll?
Bill Cox. Here. Connie King. Here. Kent Woods. Here. James Stroud. Here. Angie Box. Here. Jamie Woodson. Here. Tony Sanders. Here. Bill Swan. Here. Dennis Gardner. Here. Chad Baker. Here. Brian McLaren. Here. Kurt Holbert.
He's on the way.
Okay. And Jeff Cook.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Danette. And we received the minutes from the April meeting, and unless anyone wants to read those to us, do I have a motion for approval? Sign a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. So just a few announcements. We have a few guests here. Mr. Ron Crabtree from Quail Unlimited is here. Welcome, Ron. And Quail Forever, I'm sorry. Thank you. You're exactly, yeah, I'm sorry. And Mr. Williams, welcome back. You're in your chair, so everything's good. You're here. We're ready to go. So good deal. And as usual, if there's any folks from the public that would like to ask a question or make a statement, please step to the microphone, state your name and where you're from, and if you represent any organization or club or anything, please let us know that. And we have a protocol of 3 minutes to speak, and with 2 minutes or 1 minute remaining, Danette will say so that you have 1 minute, and then at the end of the 3 minutes, you'll say time has expired. And if anyone else would like to speak, please step up on deck and be ready to go, and we'll keep things moving that way. So thank you for that. Any announcements from the commission? No? Director Carter?
No, sir, not now. Thank you.
Right. Well, with that, we'll head into the Wildlife Committee and turn it over to Chairman Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a mic. Yeah. First off, I'd just like to, again, thank the agency personnel for the job they've done in their presentations. I know a lot of work went into it. I know they worked last night. And obviously, this morning, I told myself I was going to sleep late, and 6:30 the phone rung, and it's this happy, joyful Chuck Yost wanting to know, and talk. And I was like, I'm going to try to be happy and joyful too. So anyway, but I'm going to call on Chuck Yost, and we're going to open discussion back up on Proclamation 18-07. And this is a statewide big game hunting season and bag limits. Actually, I'm going wrong. We're on the WMA proclamation. Proclamation 18-06. So that's the one we're on right now. So we're going to open that up, back up for discussion.
Good morning, and I guess I should set the record straight. He gets up with the chickens. I knew he would be awake. And if you're wondering how that conversation went, it went like this. What happened yesterday, and how would you like to approach today?
I think the reason for opening this back up was discuss Cheatham. Obviously, other items could be brought up, but anyway, Chuck, if we could stay on Cheatham, and then if somebody else has another question, we could go somewhere else.
All right, then. So the way that we will proceed is to go ahead and dive into the WMA Proclamation and jump to Cheatham, and I'll invite Richard Kirk to discuss this more.
Good morning, Commissioners. Richard Kirk, Region 2 Program Coordinator. Excuse me. Let me start out and just, you know, our proposals are to increase participation at Cheatham. That's our objective. Eric Tummins, who's the area manager there, he was the Cheatham County Wildlife Officer prior. He's been at Cheatham 3 years. He has some institutional knowledge there. He knows what Cheatham can be. And we know as open the same as statewide season, we're not getting the participation. So that's why we brought these changes. The changes you see before you today, we tried to address two issues. The one issue is by going to quota hunts, we were impacting the hunters that use the area now. And so we decided to remove the quota hunt stipulation, but keep the dates so that we would keep the quota hunt feel to it, to make it special. But, you know, the hunters that are hunting it now have all those days. It's not quota. They can hunt any open hunt. But we do we're still making it special, because if you want to hunt Cheatham, you got to go in these days and concentrate those hunters. The other issue we saw was brought up was opening weekend traditions. And so we actually added a hunt to incorporate the gun opening weekend. We modified the muzzleloader hunt to include that week-long hunt, to include opening weekend, and then run it that succeeding week for those hunters that have to hunt during the week, their work weekends. So that was the genesis of our proposal today. There's a couple of other considerations that I didn't mention yesterday. One is the antler restrictions. We're kind of plowing new ground here with antler restrictions. We don't have any areas with antler restrictions now that aren't quota. But by maintaining these days and making the quota feel like a quota system, we think we can manage it. Like I said, we're for lack of a better word, we're experimenting. We'll see how this goes. The other consideration is because it's antler restrictions, we have to have the biological data off those deer in order to monitor what's going on. That means that check station has to be monitored, it has to be manned before daylight to after dark. These guys are also responsible for Cheatham Lake duck area. So during the same period of time, they're pumping and prepping Cheatham Lake. So if that's my only, I throw that out there as an additional consideration. So I guess with, one more thing to be sure and let you know. In adding the additional hunt and doing this, we are proposing to eliminate the fall quota turkey hunt. That's a 150 quota. Last year we issued 99 permits. We harvested 2 birds and both of them were hens. So just to get everything on the table there. So that's our proposal today. Now, and if you want me to go down through the list individually, I can do that. It's
Rich, just want to be sure that everybody's clear is this proposal is replacing the previous proposal. That clear. So the other one is off the table unless somebody brings it back up. Or
I got one question on that. What about opening the roads up? Yeah.
Well, we can certainly talk about it. As I said yesterday, our road system open closing rationale is based on hunter complaints. Hunters saying, you know, I'm out there hunting and trucks are running up and down the road. So we responded.
Well, if we got 21,000 acres and we got, you say 16 hunters out there, there can't be that many complaints. I think we ought to be able to, if we're trying to get more people in there, we ought to be opening the roads up to let these guys get further back into the wildlife management area.
Okay, sorry. And I will say this, I have been to Cheatham, took a tour of it with Richard and Bill Cox and Commissioner Cook. And I've been to a lot of other WMAs, and I understand the complaints about the road system, but there is more access on Cheatham than the majority of WMAs I know. And I realize that it's still not easy to get to that location, but I'm just telling you, a lot of other WMAs are much stricter than what you guys are dealing with. So, Ms. Connie.
I wanted to ask about the, if the deer population is really healthy, like you say, why are we restricting it to antlered only instead of antlered, except during the gun season?
Oh, having either sex?
Yeah,
Well,
right, correct.
Just to be conservative. I mean, like, we're plowing new ground here. We've never had antlerless, quota hunt situation as it not being a quota hunt, not limiting those number of hunters. So, we feel like we can harvest some does out there, but we really don't have a good sense yet with institutional knowledge of what that might be. So we're being conservative. We're taking it slow.
So you're not saying you might do that in the coming?
Oh, yeah,
year?
and let me,
If it-
again, in 2 years, we're going to monitor this year and next year, and in 2 years, we'll come back tweaking if we need to, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cook.
So I like that we have the 2-week opening before both, before archery, muzzle, and gun seasons. That's really special to have 2 weeks before the rest of the statewide season. And the antler restrictions, I think, are good. It's worth, as you said, to experiment and see how we do with that. The thing I don't like about it, if we open all of these seasons 2 weeks ahead of the statewide hunts, then I think we're going to be overrun with people. It won't be a problem getting folks there. We won't have a place to put everybody, I'm afraid. And then we're really going to have the opposite problem. Why would folks not come from all over to hunt 2 weeks earlier anywhere else they could in the state? So I would propose we try to split the difference and say keep the 2-week hunts, the 2 weeks ahead of the regular. Just take the statewide season, just your statewide season as it is for everybody else. 2 weeks ahead of the archery statewide season, do a quota hunt. Then it opens up to regular statewide season after that. Then 2 weeks before muzzleloader season, do a quota muzzleloader hunt. It opens up to statewide season after that. Then 2 weeks before gun hunt, do a quota gun hunt. Then it opens up to statewide season. That way, folks who have their traditions of being there on opening season, they have the same. Everybody has the same statewide season except for 2 weeks before muzzleloader and 2 weeks before gun. And it seems like that should satisfy a lot of situations. And we get to promote Cheatham. Folks get to come there and see it. They're going to love it. And I think we'll only do this for a couple of years because then we're going to have folks back and it'll be statewide season again. But that's what I would propose.
Is that in the form of an
It is.
amendment? Okay.
Second.
Wait a minute.
For
Gotta get somebody
discussion,
on wildlife.
Oh, are we in?
Yeah.
Sorry.
for discussion,
It's your birthday. That's okay.
for scheduling, I think the muzzleloader season runs up against the rifle season, same as statewide, so I don't know how you would have a 2-week rifle hunt before that.
Let me get a second first before we get into it.
For the purposes of discussion, second.
All right, I got a second. Now we'll open it up for discussion.
I think your idea is got merit. I just think that the 2 weeks before rifle is in the middle of muzzleloading season.
It is, and I'm not smart enough to keep all these dates
You're not a deer
separated.
hunter.
No, I'm a deer hunter, but I'm not smart enough to bounce this back and forth. So, but what, in the spirit of what I just said, it comes and goes in and out of quota, specialty, preseason hunts in all 3 weapon types. And when it's not that, it's back to statewide.
Yeah, so the opening of the early seasons previous, prior to any other thing opening should be quotas, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And anything else should be same as statewide.
Yes.
And obviously, during your quota hunts, because your muzzleloader, if this passes, your muzzleloader quota hunt would be during archery season. Then your rifle quota hunt would be during muzzleloader season. So obviously, that would close you would have to close your statewide seasons for the quota hunt.
That's correct.
Just want to be sure I understand it clearly.
I have a follow-up question for you, Mr. Chairman. What about having the quota hunts in the early openings and then maintaining the non-quota hunts like they've got to make them kind of limited special hunts for the rest of the year? Even though I'm a statewide season guy, I'm trying to, I'm the one started this talking to Eric, and we went out there, and I'm trying to do what he thinks needs to be done and then try to not exclude anybody. So that's where we all are. So what would be your opinion of having 2 or 3 quota hunts early like they proposed and then the rest of the time being non-quota?
I think that's what I said.
Well, I thought you said you'd open the statewide seasons after that, which means every day's open. No non-quotas. I thought
That's
what I understood.
I thought that's what you just said.
No.
So
We would have the limited non-quota hunts like the 3 and 5 and 7 day hunts like he's got, except for on non-quota hunts, which is shorter days, not all season. The ones that are early, before any other season opens, would be quota hunts. It's what I'm suggesting that you might consider instead of in deference to Eric.
I think that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a great idea.
No, it's not. It's not.
Is not what I was saying?
Let me say what I think you're saying. You're saying do this proposal, except make those 2 hunts quota hunts, the early hunts.
Are there 2 or 3?
There's 2 non-quota hunts. Well,
The muzzleloader hunts are pre-season, aren't they?
yeah. But you're saying the preseason hunts make them quota.
That's what the chairman was trying to get to, I think. And then the rest of them
You're
would
saying-
remain like Richard has
Like they
presented.
are, but Jeff wants them, the amendment is for it to be open with statewide season.
Let me restate it. I'll try to restate it as plainly as I can. We have a statewide season, and right now, Cheatham is a statewide season. And it's going to continue to be exactly a statewide season, except for a few exceptions. It'll be a certain amount of time, and again, I don't know, that's something we need to discuss, but let's just for discussion call it 2 weeks. For approximately 2 weeks before the statewide season archery opens, have a quota hunt for archery for those 12 days, something like that. Then you get the muzzleloader. The statewide season is going to open for muzzleloader. 10 days, 2 weeks before that, it is a quota muzzleloader hunt. And then gun season comes along, it will open statewide. 10 days, 2 weeks before that, it'll be a quota rifle hunt. And otherwise, it's statewide like it has been. And is that different than?
That's different than what I'm saying.
Okay.
But that's fine. Whatever. I'm just getting clarification.
Yes, Commissioner Woodson.
And this is a clarification from the agency. First, thank you all for all of this effort and trying to help us find a balance. I know we all really appreciate it. There are the 2 things that are being discussed right now. One, I think we've got it straight that early would be quota, potentially, but there's a question, I think, on does the whole season open up versus having these discrete windows of time where the WMA would be open and closed during the regular seasons, not on the early side. And I'd love for you to talk through the rationale behind I think to Bill Cox's point, the rationale behind having it open and close for whatever reason. Would you talk that through a little bit? Yeah.
If I could clarify, or does it help to call what I'm saying open back to statewide season? Does it help to call that non-quota? Does that make it more understandable?
Let's see, I think in my head, which is tiny in brain, is the quota system is one issue, but when a season's open or closed is a separate issue. And so I think the quota issue we've got relatively straight, but when the season's when any season or hunting is allowed, it's open now under current policy, but this proposal on the wall, not what you've proposed, is contemplating certain weekends that it's open, certain weekends that it's closed. And I understand that the rationale for that was pretty specific in terms of encouragement of sportsmen. So would you talk, does that make sense? So there's the quota issue, and then there's the open close during regular season.
Okay, well, non-quota, and to define non-quota means anybody can come. There's no limit on the number of hunters that can show up. The rationale of quota hunts and why we went that direction was to make Cheatham special again. When it was been wide open from September through the first full weekend of January, whatever, those days, it diluted the impact of hunters. You know, I'd like to go to Cheatham this weekend. Oh, this came up. I'll go the next weekend. When we have set days, hunters plan for it. That's when they have to come. And that's why, and like I said yesterday, it's anecdotal, but a lot of us feel that when we went to same as statewide, over years of that, management area hunts lost their special position. And so by putting in quota hunts, or in this manner, non-quota hunts, but specific days, we kept it open to everybody, but tried to recreate that specialty that if I'm going to hunt Cheatham, I'm going to hunt this day. I got a plan on it. That's, I've got these days to hunt. Did that help?
I think it did. And so just to be clear on it's still the regular season. There's not a quota for that. I just want to make sure that the quota issue is now separate. This proposal at least contemplates no quota during that regular season, but you do have discrete times when it's open and closed.
Yes.
That's the difference, I think, with what Chairman Cook is suggesting. And that seems like a big difference in terms of the season and trying to balance it. So I just wanted to at least try to make it clear in my head. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I think the difference in a quota, non-quota, maybe the non-quota may just be a misnomer, but the difference is that each one of those hunts is for a specific number of days, and then it closes and reopens. The non-quota means that anybody can hunt those 3 days, and then it closes, and then we have another hunt. Now, the difference between non-quota and quota is there's a limited number in a quota, and in the non-quota, anybody can hunt for those 2 or 3 days, and then it closes. And then there's another hunt, whatever date it is, and then everybody can come hunt. So I think what you're getting to is you want to leave that like that, but previously you want to limit the number of people for those early hunts. I think that's what you're saying.
Well, the specialty of this, if you want to draw somebody to a WMA, any WMA, why don't you open the season 2 weeks before everybody else can go hunt somewhere? That's the special part. I mean, to put it in a business terms, you have a sale, you have a special sale, this sets part of time. You don't close your store down until you have another sale if you want to keep customers coming. You have a special sale to get them in there, then you keep doing business, then you have another special sale, you keep doing business. So the specialty here is the 2 weeks beforehand, and I think we'll get plenty of folks interested in that, and I bet we use all of our quota hunts, our quota permits on that, and it's a great advertisement for what we're trying to draw people in, and at the same time we are open for business the rest of the time for the folks who've enjoyed it and have their traditions, and it feels to me like we're splitting the difference.
Any more discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Gardner?
Yeah, I agree with Chairman Cook on the statewide part of it. If we have the deer, if the deer are back like we're stating, then why put restrictions on time parameters? I understand the specialty of it, but I also agree that the front end loading of making that available via quota or otherwise is the special part of it. One thing that concerns me is on the antler restriction. We've got 15-inch spread, and with the President's Island, Moss Island thing suggest outside spread, I think we need to specify which spread you're talking about for that, so that there's no confusion, since we're doing a little bit of both. I don't really understand why we're doing an outside spread anyway, because people refer to inside spread a lot more frequently than they do an outside spread when they're sizing deer. But for this purpose, if you would specify that, it would be very helpful and clarify that.
Which
Yeah,
one?
and it's in the proclamation, outside spread. That is what we're going with.
It is outside
It is
spread.
outside spread.
Okay.
Really? All right. Any other discussion?
Can-
Got
I'd
it.
like to reiterate what Mr. Baker said, and that is, I feel like the roads ought to be open. I've visited a lot of wildlife management areas also, and there is limited access in a lot of them, especially places like Tellico and so forth. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those roads cannot be open on this wildlife management area for better access.
Okay. I want to remind everybody this is a committee. Commissioner Woodson.
Could you talk us through the impact on the small game hunters?
Yes, I mean, small game hunters, Cheatham is growing in squirrel hunting popularity, actually. And we actually discussed last year some conflicts between deer hunters and squirrel hunters. Going to, and we didn't, it wasn't enough really to do anything. One thing, and it actually hasn't gotten any worse, so we're still not proposing any changes in regard to that. But going this way would have, squirrel hunting would have been open on non-big game hunt days. So, you know, if for this example, the first muzzleloader hunt, October 12th, the 10th, they could have gone and squirrel hunted, yes.
And they can, currently, they can use it, it's multi-use.
At the same time.
They can use
Now,
it.
during quota hunts, you can't small game hunt.
And that was proposed in the original proposal.
Well,
too.
that's, I guess that's an assumed, I'm sorry, that's an assumed, but during big game quota hunts,
Yes, sir.
it's for those big game hunters.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I make sure I'm clear on?
I'm going to state it the best that I can
Okay.
to make sure everybody's clear on it. What we're voting on. Be easy if we weren't even looking at that probably. But anyway, the amendment is to have an early, I do need to, I will ask this for clarification. You're saying an early archery hunt quota. Are you wanting to make it a 15-day? Are you wanting, we really need to.
Calendar and set the dates, so.
I would suggest using what he's got up there for dates.
Well, I need the seasons.
While Commissioner Cook's looking at that calendar, I'm going to take a second, personal privilege, to introduce somebody that just walked in. I don't know how long he's going to say, but Stephen Maupin from Tennessee Farm Bureau, I appreciate you coming by and joining us today. So glad to see you here. We appreciate the partnership we have with Farm Bureau, and feel like we've made great strides in the last few years in the agriculture community, but we appreciate all you guys do.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Miss Carol McDonald, who's here from the Department of Agriculture, so I'm sorry.
All right. Director Carter, you like to say something? Okay, you just talk. You just come.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's got a muzzle or can't run out, yeah.
We're gonna take a quick 5-minute recess if anybody needs to go take care of business. That way we can do this. No need everybody sitting in here. So we'll start back in 5 minutes.